our friends.
It's our last crusade, you guys. Talk about it later.
I don't do well with sadness before it happens.
Hey guys, welcome back to Dig It with Raven. Jude is here, and it's very exciting because we're finally reacting to The Last Crusade. I'm excited.
Oh, no.
It's very exciting.
It's sad.
It is sad because I'm moving next week, and that means it is actually our last crusade. For now.
For now, and then I leave.
Oh no. Oh, I can't take it. Anyway, we're gonna try and keep it together while we react in this video. We hope you enjoy it because it's like the best Indiana Jones film.
It's the classic.
The classic.
It's the first one I watched as a kid.
It's just so good.
Yeah.
So, let's get to it. So we have a smorgasbord. I know I say that wrong all the time. We have an array of foods today.
We couldn't choose.
No. We have Turkish food, Jordanian food,
Indian
food, all the food. We're just going out with a bang. Let's do it!
It's the Cross of Coronado. Cortez gave it to him in 1520.
How did he know that?
Smart kid.
Just from looking at it from afar? Alright, so the elusive Cross of Coronado, the thing that young Indiana Jones tries to get away from his weird daddy issue mentor who he ends up emulating and then ends up getting it back, is not real, unfortunately. But it does allude to a Spanish conquistador by the name of Francisco Vasquez de Coronado. He was actually the first Spanish conquistador to explore the North American Southwest. So he went to places like Kansas, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and Oklahoma, but he never went to Utah. So we don't know why some of his treasure ended up in Utah, but his big thing was to find this lost city of gold called Cibola, and he came to the United States in the 1500s to find it. Unfortunately, he did not find it, and he was bankrupt because of it, and then he died in 1540. So that's Francisco for you. Sorry, bud.
That cross is an important artifact. It belongs in a museum. This should be in a museum.
That belongs in a museum. So do you.
Belongs in a museum.
Does it though?
Which one?
That's the question.
It belongs in a museum is a really difficult topic because it probably doesn't belong in a museum. But at the same time, Indy saying it belongs in a museum was relative to it not being stolen as an artifact.
Yeah.
So there's a really big debate.
And like in the 30s. Not even. He was earlier. This movie's set in 1938, and he's a kid, so it's like the teens.
Yeah.
The 19-teens.
19-teens or 1920s.
So that's when everyone was stealing stuff and putting it in a museum.
But this is a really difficult one because we have a lot of debates nowadays and a lot of issues with museums that have things, collections and artifacts of them that were historically stolen.
Yeah.
And the debate now is, are they supposed to be returned? Which, they should.
Yeah. There is a big debate about it. And a lot of these big institutions, we won't name names, but you know who you are, were founded on a lot of looting and taking things from colonialism because it was just what they did at the time and what they thought was correct. But we know that just because they did something 100 years ago because they thought it was correct does not mean it is correct now or ever was correct. And a lot of people claim that they're being kept safe in these big institutions because a lot of things come from places that may have political unrest and things. But that's another debate for itself in a sense, and they get locked away.
And the issue also comes from the fact that then these museums with these collections are profiting off of it. If you think of really large museums that again will not be named, are a very big highlight to go to certain places because of this museum. And so why do they get to profit off of collections coming from other countries that still are tied to that heritage? It's there's a lot of elements to this, and a lot of it is based off of previous legislations and previous agreements from private collecting. It belongs in a museum, maybe, maybe not. It definitely doesn't belong on the black market.
Definitely not. And then there's also that thing of like, yeah, if it belonged to people that lived there 4,000 years ago, does it still belong to the people that live there now? Are they the same people? This is the thing. But I feel like it, you know, comes from that country. It's that country's history, and I get we all have a shared collective heritage, but still, like it's theirs.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult one.
Yeah. So, does it belong in a museum? Maybe we can start a fun ethical debate in the comments. Nice comments only. Be kind to one another. Maybe I shouldn't tell people to do that. But hey.
Just be nice. Why be mean?
I miss driving goggles.
As if you had them.
I miss a lot of things I never had. And that's where the snake fear comes from.
The only thing about snakes, like, is that they're not slimy. What grosses me out is the sliminess of things.
You can see the admiration now. Oh, look at that.
Damn.
Oh, let's forget the hat. Whoa, look at that transition.
Forget any ideas you got about lost cities, exotic travel, and digging up the world. We do not follow maps to buried treasure, and X never, ever marks the spot.
No, he's right.
Very true.
70% of all archaeology is done in the library. Research, reading.
20% of all archaeology. Did you say 20%?
70% is all done in the library.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. I would say more.
80%.
85.
Yeah.
This is your appointment schedule, and these turnovers still haven't been graded.
He would be a really annoying professor to have them.
Yeah.
The ones that don't ever grade things.
Look at that office. Look at it all in there.
It's like his office is in a collection room.
Or is it like, should we be sad or impressed?
It does look like it's in a collection room, though.
Yeah.
Like,
If there's a furnace, though, that's very bad. Do not put collections next to a furnace. It's an agent of deterioration.
Can you translate the inscription?
Quis bibit aquam. Who drinks the water, I shall give him, says the Lord.
this actually would, like, Latin is a little bit easier to sight read.
Yeah.
So that would be okay.
Where the cup that holds the blood of Jesus Christ resides forever.
The Holy Grail, Dr. Jones.
All right, the Holy Grail, the cup, the platter, whatever it is or object that is supposed to grant you eternal happiness and eternal life, all the fun things that we all want so we don't die. There are a bunch of contradictory stories to what the Holy Grail actually is, if it even exists, and where it would be. The first instance that we have of a mention of the Holy Grail is from the 12th century in a piece of literature by Chrétien de Troyes. I'm so sorry. And it was called Perceval le Gallois. And this piece of literature really kind of kick-started the whole like Holy Grail fanaticism, hype, craze.
Yeah.
Craze. So in this work, this Holy Grail was actually like a bowl or some sort of dish, but then in later works that were also written about the Holy Grail, it kind of took more form of a chalice or a cup, like how we envision the Holy Grail to be today. Yeah. And that is also why you see platters and things in the scene where they're choosing the Holy Grail. So A+ on the research for whoever wrote that scene for Indiana Jones. The writers after de Troyes used to start combining the whole notion of the Holy Grail with the last cup that Jesus drank from during the Last Supper. So that's how it kind of became what we believe it to be today. And also it was combined with the same cup that was used to catch Jesus's blood. So all these kind of things kind of became part of the story of the Holy Grail. Then of course there were the Arthurian legends where King Arthur would go try to hunt down the Holy Grail. And then it all came to a head a few years ago with the Da Vinci Code, Dan Brown's novel, and Tom Hanks's. I still like it. I love Tom Hanks.
I love the movie.
He has great hair. It's a great movie. It's super fun.
Tom Hanks just makes me smile. He's
He's
like
my favorite.
he's like my dad.
But in the Da Vinci Code, the Holy Grail is actually the bloodline of Jesus Christ. So Mary Magdalene bearing his offspring. So that might be this whole like the blood thing. Anyways, there's a lot of stuff about the Holy Grail. People devote their lives to it, as Indy's father did, and it's just But it wasn't suggested until the 12th century. But where the Grail is, we don't know. What the Grail is, we don't know. Is it in Petra? No. The Nazis were looking all over the place for relics, holy relics. And we talked about this in our very first reaction video about the Ark of the Covenant. If you want to watch it, it's in the corner. So having the story of the Nazis looking after for it, good job. Hitler really wanted to find these things that would either, prove that there was an Aryan race archaeologically, and then there was also him wanting to...
Which there was not. No. Just for any crazy people out there.
Then there's also him trying to never die and become super powerful and invincible, and hence why he wanted the Spear of Destiny and the Holy Grail. So that's that story.
It's crazy what stories do.
Yeah.
Whether true or not, it's crazy what they can do for a long time.
Hard to resist, isn't it?
Please wine.
Oh my God.
Or champagne or whatever.
No, don't do that on sandstone.
After the Grail was entrusted to Joseph of Arimathea, it disappeared and was lost for 1,000 years before it was found again by 3 knights of the First Crusade. 3 brothers, to be exact.
I've heard this one as well.
The mentioning of the Knights Templar and Sir Richard from the First Crusade, all of this is just all mixed up. In some way it's true, but not at the right time.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a Sir Richard.
Yeah, but not anybody that was, notable or remembered in history or,
No. And the Knights Templar were founded after the First Crusade.
Exactly.
So, a little bit of a timing issue there.
It's true, but just mixed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Dad's Grail diary. Every clue he followed, every discovery he made. Complete record of his search for the Holy Grail.
In a tiny book? That's all he got? All that research? I did more when I was doing my thesis.
I wish I could fit everything in a book.
Call Donovan, Marcus. Tell him I'll take that ticket to Venice now.
I'll tell him we'll take 2.
I want to be Marcus Brody. Because you don't get to, you don't have to do all the physical, scary, life-threatening things.
Yeah.
But you get to go along for the ride.
These columns over here were brought back as spoils of war after the sacking of Byzantium during the Crusades.
Yo, that's true. Venice did a lot of sacking. Made a lot of cool things out of mismatched stuff.
10. X marks the spot.
10!
There it is! So next week at his lecture, he'll say.
So about that.
The Christians would have dug their own passages and burial chambers centuries later.
So with regards to the catacombs in Venice, so we have to consider, this one isn't very archaeological, but we're just going to talk about infrastructure. So Venice, similar to where we are in the Netherlands, very canal-based places, they are canal-based because they sit atop water. You can't really go far down deep into the ground, otherwise you reach water.
Everything's built on wooden piles.
Exactly.
To dig a hole, you'd have to go under the wooden piles. To build the metro in Amsterdam, which took them over 10 years to build because they just kept coming into problems, they had to dig 17 meters deep.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And if you don't have infrastructure like giant boring machines,
it's very difficult
digging
to
catacombs and also going 17 meters deep for a catacomb.
And further from that, maintaining it is a whole other thing. It just wouldn't survive.
No, it would just flood.
Yeah.
Especially a place like Venice that floods.
Very often, yeah. That being said, there is a flooded crypt, San Zaccaria, in Venice, which could, has Indiana Jones vibes to it. There's been a church there since the 9th century, and it could maybe be resembling that, but...
Yeah, it kind of looks similar when they're first getting I'm just going to picture here. It looks like when they're first seeing the tomb of the knight.
Yeah. So maybe that, yeah.
Indie vibe inspiration.
Oh, how rude.
It's very disrespectful.
This is what I do in the lab all the time. I take a femur and light myself a candle. That's horrible. Imagine,
It's just it's your body, and now it's a human torch.
She takes your grandma's leg
No.
Lights are on fire. Also, lighting a fire in an entire place of petroleum, it just doesn't make any sense. They're in a river of petroleum. I don't know if they still are, but he lit that in a sealed cave of petroleum.
Yeah. It would have been in the air. He would have died.
Yeah.
The whole thing would have just become a fire river.
This is it. We found it.
I have to say his expressions are very accurate.
Oh yeah.
You know, like when he gets excited. Yeah, that's like me. I'm like sweating and and crying. What?
Mad panic that comes over you. See? Air. Fireball. Also, like, that means underground of Venice is on fire.
Yeah.
And Venice is built on wooden poles.
Not anymore.
Okay.
She's the best. She's the best Indiana Jones woman.
I think so too. Like, everyone loves Marion Ravenwood.
I get annoyed with her.
She does scream indie quite a lot.
The secret of the Grail has been safe for 1,000 years. And for all that time, the Brotherhood of the Cruciform Sword have been prepared to do anything to keep it safe.
So the Brotherhood of the Cruciform Sword is, a made-up organization that's probably meant to reflect the Knights Templar. The Knights Templar were a Christian military order that was founded after the First Crusade in 1119. They combined their military prowess and religiousness. Piousness to protect religious sites and pilgrims that were going to them. So they started off as a poor charity, but they actually grew very wealthy because they were very good bankers. But then they got so rich that Pope Clement V had the Templars arrested because they got so powerful from their wealth.
Yeah.
So many were tortured and forced to give false confessions regarding things like idolatry and heresy, homosexuality, which at the time was very frowned upon.
Yeah.
And then eventually, after that, the organization rapidly
declined.
Yeah, and disappeared.
Bye-bye.
Today, a lot of the conspiracy theories about the Knights Templar involve things like them being the descendants of the Freemasons, that them still being secretly around in some way, and that they still are the guardians of relics like the Holy Grail.
Since I met you, I've nearly been incinerated, drowned, shot at, and chopped into fish bait.
Don't blame her. This is your fault. You're the one that broke the floor.
Don't solve the clues if you cannot deal with the consequences.
Oh, go away.
It's so hard to react to this movie though, because it's just so good.
Yeah.
You just can't. We can't rag on it. It's so well done. It's got everything.
It's because Henry's there. It's the most accurate.
Sean
It's really
Connery
accurate.
really just brings it home, you know?